Hey there, and welcome to Large Format Friday. I'm your host, Matt Marrash. If you're new to the large format photographic process or thinking about getting started, go ahead and get subscribed because every other Friday, we're gonna be here and we're gonna be chatting about something large format. I'm here at the Quarry Trails Metropark, and I'm here specifically today to test out, give a mini field test to this guy right here. This is the new Gen Intrepid 8x10, or Mark III as it was previously referred to. I'm not going to be doing a full review on this camera today because I'm still testing it. I've had it in my possession for a little over 2 weeks now, and I don't want to give at least a full review until I've had it and used it for 30 days. As you can see, the sun's already peeking up behind me, so I want to hit that trail. There's a tiny little falls, Millikin Falls down that way. We'll do the normal field work thing and shoot that and see how this does. Oh, I could get used to how light this is. I'm not sure if it's coming across on the mic yet, but we're really close to the falls. We just have another big set of stairs to go down, and we're there. Oh man, that's some nice backlight coming in. I'm just a sucker for backlight. The falls are right over here. You know what though? Oh, that is some really nice backlight. Now, falls can wait, they're still behind, the sun is coming through, and I've got a lot of nice textures and some pretty cool shapes. So let's set up the warm-up shot. At this point, with being someone who travels with so much crap all the time to shoot 8x10, I really can't understate just how lightweight this entire thing is. The camera itself weighs 2.8 kilos, which is just shy of 6.2 pounds. The camera itself is a folding field camera. It does have quite a few movements in the style of the Philips Explorer, Chamonix, and Shenhao series cameras. It has this bed, and along the bed there are a bunch of predetermined holes. They're tripod size, which could come in handy for accessories, but what we do is we choose where we're going to mount our lens based on kind of that infinity focus of the lens. Or if you're doing portraits, maybe you'll pull it up a bit. And those predetermined positions are, for example, like your 150, 210, 250, 300, and 350 lenses. The bellows extension does go a little bit beyond 500 millimeters, but I'm not really going to be pushing that too much here. I have my 355 standard and my 150 super wide, and I'm going to start with my good old standard lens. This is everything. I've got film holders, 2 lenses, all that I need to get shooting. It's pretty awesome. One of the first oddities about the Intrepid 8x10 that's worth mentioning is when I received this camera, I also got with it one of these lens boards from Intrepid. It's a very nice, thick, custom machined aluminum lens board. However, it's Cinar sized, but most Cinar and Horseman boards that I tested in this assembly, something's off a little bit. And I don't think it's the outer dimensions, I think it has to do with the thickness and some lens boards having like a rebate on the back. Although this Copal 3 that they sent, super snug and fits in perfectly. So my Schneider 355 is there, it's open, and let's take a look. One other nice thing about the new gen of Intrepids is they also ship standard with an 8x10 inch Fresnel. A lot of people consider this like something that should come with any 8x10. It's not necessarily something you should expect, but on these newer cameras, it's a really nice feature to have. And by the way, I don't want to do a vertical for the shot. Let's go ahead and switch it to horizontal. To do that, there's these 2 little clasps. When I push them up and I see the round semicircle, I'm ready to pull this off using the included magnets, and then I can switch it. It's a really nice strong magnet system, and then this locks it back down. It's not going anywhere. So let's go ahead and focus our camera to infinity. To get this, I just got to push this forward. Turning the knob counterclockwise is going to bring my shot into focus. I suppose I could have put the lens position up to the very front, and that would have been fine for my 355, but oh, there we go. We're already getting into focus. I don't have a dark cloth on this, and you can see I'm backlit by the sun. It's not a problem. I can see this very, very easily. And then I do have my 8x loop, so I can check my corners and make sure everything looks nice. So I've got my far focus. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply some probably front tilt, move this front standard forward towards my near point of focus. I've got 2 sets of knobs on here. These inner knobs control my rise fall, and then these other knobs, they are separate. They're not geared, but they help my tilt. Now the tilt of your lens is based on the lens axis. This can eat up a little bit of image circle on your lens faster than if you were moving the entire base of the camera, but that's just kind of a nitpicky thing. So I'm gonna have my loop on here and I'm gonna move my tilt. Let's see, that's the wrong direction. I need to be going right about here. All right, readjust my focus. Okay, the rocks are nice and in focus now. How's my far looking? Far looks pretty good. Cool, all right, I've got that where I like it. Now we're gonna stop down the lens to get the depth of field we want. All right, I got my little Reveni spot here. Also pairs super well with a lightweight camera. All right. Oh, by the way, the film we're using today, we're using some more of my FPP Mummy 400 stock. I'm gonna shoot that at 200 because I found with testing that's what works best in my developer. Let's find some shadows with detail that we want. Okay, pop those on 3. And at f16, it's telling me I need a 1/15 of a second. Ooh, gotta love that 400 speed film. All right, let's find our highlights and see where our development's gonna need to be. So I'm actually getting a pretty standard range. I could shine it right on the brightest highlight, but that's kind of unrealistic, I would say. Yeah, it's saying a 1/25 of a second. I'm still gonna go with that 1/16. It's okay if my highlights are a little bit hot. I know I'm backlit, that's just the cost of doing business, but I wanna make sure I have adequate detail in this shadow area. Okay, we're gonna put our cable release in, get ready to shoot. And just as a double check, I'm gonna make sure everything's locked down as tight as I can. F16, 1/15 of a second. Okay, that looks good. We are tight, we are tight. Let's bring it around over here. Let's tighten our rear standard. Oh yeah, this was a little loose here. Okay, tighten the tripod. Not too bad. For an ultralight camera, we're doing pretty good stability-wise. And yes, I still recommend using a really adequate tripod head, something that has like a lot of heft. This holds up to my 12x20, so a 6.2 pound camera is like nothing. All right, let's get our film in. The spring back is pretty decently strong. I noticed on my copy here, there are some little threads of like the plywood where it was, I don't know if it's burned in or like sanded down, but there's a few little pits right here. I removed as much as I could and it hasn't affected any shots so far. Okay. Let's get our holder in. There we go. Nice fit. All right. Ready, 1 and. One thing I've already noticed about shooting a few frames through this is it's very hard to remove that holder once it's in. I'd like to see some sort of lever either here or here that would also kind of bolster the power of this spring. I can see this is like just taped together at the bottom, so I don't know if maybe it needs another, like a stronger spring or another support, something to help me pull this film holder out without further weakening this spring. But everything's been super tight. I've had no light leaks through this camera and I don't anticipate any anytime soon. All right, we're gonna pick the camera up and head over to the main event here. Oh my gosh, it is so light. The tripod and head, by the way, are about twice as heavy as the camera itself. So this is just a dream. If you're somebody that's worried about like back problems, but you still want to shoot those big sheets, this is something to consider, especially for lightweight backpacking. All right, definitely digging the shallow water. Don't have to worry about getting too soaked. Okay, now that that sunlight is hitting the ground glass directly, there's no way I'm going to be able to see this, even with the Fresnel, so dark cloth it is. So a little magic of television. I kind of got caught up. I was chatting about large format. Met a local park ranger, really cool dude. Showed him a little bit about the camera, had some fun, and now it's time to set up that second shot. So our metered exposure time, we're at 1/4 second this time at 16 again. So if I go to f32, that's gonna take me to 1 second. With reciprocity, let's call it 2. If you do find yourself working on the rocks and water and things are moving around, it's always a good idea to let your tripod settle. Wait a couple of seconds before everything happens. So after I insert my film holder, all this stuff, I'm gonna make sure everything is nice and settled. All right, let's insert the film holder, nice and snug. Oh, I hadn't locked that down. Okay. Great, good, pull this out. All right, and 2 Mississippis. Ready, 1 and 1,002. Probably my biggest critique of the camera so far in the time that I've had it is you do have a limitation of the maximum speed of changing this focus here. You've only got that knob in the rear and then shifting the lens from the front. That's about all you've got. So if you're doing a lot of wide range focusing or changing out lenses often, you're gonna find yourself cranking that knob back and forth. So a lot of locking and unlocking. I can already feel my fingers getting a little more raw than they normally would be. Pop this lens off, and we're gonna move this back for our wide angle configuration. So I'm at the second to front. Now I'm going to move it all the way to the back for my 150. Now when you move this back, because we don't have a bag bellows for this camera, it's not a removable bellows, we do have to kind of push our front standard up to match that bellows at its halfway point. Okay, lock that knob in. One thing I really do appreciate is them burning in these little notches on the front of the bed so I can line things up and I can find my 0 point. So I'm not losing any image circle due to unnecessary shift or swing from, not knowing that 0 position. So I've got that in there, and let's pop on our super wide angle lens. Now this super wide is on a Cinar board and not the Intrepid board. This one is like an older Cinar board, I think, and it seems to do fine. Some of my newer Cinar Horseman boards don't really seem to have a good fit on there, and even this one's a little bit thick, and it's not because this is thick, it's because of these protruding dots in the back. So Intrepid, if you're watching, yeah, we may want to account for that in the foam because, yeah, just using proprietary boards when, you shouldn't have to do that to shoot. There we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, this is nice and super wide. All right. And because I knew we were going to be going at sunrise, we were going to have some water, we were going to have some blue skies, this is the perfect time to flex something I don't use enough with my wide angle lens, my polarizer. Now this is a monster polarizer. This is actually a 105 that's stepped down to 95. It's still circular, so it allows me to account for all of those reflections and help me get a little bit more contrast. And let's see if it can also tame the sky in combination with the vignetting from the lens. Before using something big like a polarizer on this lens, you want to make sure your composition and focus are already ballparked. Focusing with this on here can be a little bit trickier. You're always losing something by adding a filter. In this case, about 1.5 stops. So there is a pretty big difference between our highlight area and our shadow area. We're shooting black and white film, so I'm biasing my exposure towards those shadows. If I don't have enough information in those shadows, I don't have enough to print or scan. So we're still 1 second at 32. We're gonna add 1.5 stops, so that's gonna give us 3 seconds. With reciprocity though, 6 seconds at 32. There we go. All right, ready, 1 and. Only downside about this park is it's relatively small and the falls are pretty much the most scenic thing here. That's all right though. The crowds are already starting to come in because this is the weekend, and we're gonna kind of head out for today. So far in field testing, this camera has done really well for me. I've also taken this out a few times prior to recording this, and I plan on taking this out quite a few more times before giving my final review. Again, this is just a mini field work, me out with the camera, showing some of its features. Again, Intrepid did send me this camera. I didn't pay them, they haven't paid me, and there's no expectations of anything other than me giving you my opinion. So far, everything's looking pretty good, but we'll really know as I test this longer and longer. Everything's gonna perform well right when it's brand new, but as you use it more, and I'm an abuser of gear, we're gonna see how well this holds up. If for any reason you just want to get your pre-order in for this already from what you've seen, Intrepid has given me a coupon code so you can save a little extra. Save off of that shipping and save off of that VAT. And that coupon code is Marrash10. That'll save you 10% on the order. So at the time of recording, that's going to save you 52 GBP or about 55 bucks. So it's not a $0 thing. It's definitely a nice gesture on their part. If you have any other questions about the Intrepid 8x10, you can drop those down below in the comments. And for any of those other questions you have, hit me up, largeformatquestions@gmail.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks for more Large Format Friday. Let's get this out of here.